They won't know.
Welcome to Juice Podcast. I'm Emily Harmon.
And I'm Gwen Douglas.
And today we're talking about Gamay.
Gamay.
So we chose Gamay because it's still autumn time and we felt that it would be a good... I think it's quite a nice autumnal red.
I think it absolutely is.
Yeah. And definitely one of my favourite varietals. We both bought our own Gamay.
Gamay.
And I think it'd be good if we talk a little bit about where we find Gamay, what it's like.
Yeah, absolutely. What you eat it with.
Exactly. What do you drink it with when you're eating? So, what do you know about Gamay, Gwen?
I know that Gamay is from Beaujolais.
Yes.
So a little bit south of Beaujolais.
Yeah.
And that it's often vinified using whole grape clusters.
Yes.
That would be carbonic maceration, which gives it sometimes a bubblegummy or banana candy kind of taste. And that's probably it.
Yeah. So,
and then I think it's delicious.
Should we start? Let's start with opening one. I think. Yep. And then let's start answer all these questions.
All right.
So I think you should open yours, and I've purposely bought my own bottle opener.
I know.
Today
I actually brought another
because
one.
Gwen has the most bizarre bottle opener that exists on the planet of the Earth.
So I did
the planet of the Earth. The planet Earth.
So
our planet Earth.
I did actually bring another opener because this opener is the one that I keep here at the studio at Tycho. And a client gave me this, and it's hilarious because it's like a novelty wine bottle.
And it's so plastic.
It's very plastic. So, I mean, this is really the opener that we have to open in a pinch. So I might use the knife on yours to cut through my capsule.
Oh, your wonderful bottle opener.
I actually did bring a better opener that will live here from now on. So we're good.
Yeah, we should get it in its full glory.
Oh my God, it's
actually
ridiculous.
says Bouteille du Esprit Rouge, the bottle of red spirit, 2012.
I know, I did think that.
11% alcohol. That does not look like an 11% alcohol bottle of wine either, which is very funny.
It definitely looks like something you get on. I never actually read that bottle, but it looks like just a classic when you see bottles lined up at a restaurant.
Oh, what the hell, going full in?
As I'm not using that plastic thing, I'm going to make a mess of things.
I don't know that. There we go. We'll see how long it stays standing up. It might knock over the little Vina Looper one.
Right.
Yeah, I thought we'd start with this because I believe it to be lighter. Can I? Sorry, I just poured
go for it.
Go for it. So we're starting with Gwen's wine, Morgon, Jean Foillard. It's the Morgon Classique 2017.
I did actually have the 2015, but I forgot it at home, so I had to go get another one.
Unreliable. Cheers.
Cheers. That smells delicious.
Tastes delicious.
Wow, it smells really good.
Go on first. We'll see. We'll play around with them.
It's almost like caramelly.
Yeah,
it's like a caramelly, raspberry.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. But not an unpleasant caramel. Like, it's not... just makes me want to get right in it.
Get right in. So Gamay is the name of the grape variety. Not a lot of people would necessarily be familiar with the grape variety Gamay because actually the wines that are produced from this varietal rarely have grape variety written on the label. We often have different Beaujolais and Cru Beaujolais, so different areas within Beaujolais that are usually written on the label, which is actually what we have today. So Brouilly and Morgon are both subzones in the Beaujolais region. But Gamay predominantly known for producing the wines from Beaujolais. So whenever you see Beaujolais on a wine list in a wine shop, and it's a red wine, it's usually almost 100%.
It's true. I guess we don't really... Is there anywhere in the world that's making Gamay?
Yes.
Without this. Tell me about it.
Well, we also see Gamay... obviously, Gamay spreads a little bit. So we do see it in the south of Burgundy, in Macon.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
So Macon Rouge, certain appellations can have a little bit of Gamay mixed in with the Pinot, or be 100% Gamay, which is not a lot of people are that familiar with.
No, I didn't know that.
So if you see a red Macon, then it could be made with
a mix or 100%, depending.
with Gamay, and also the Loire. You see it always in the Loire. You see some Pinot Noir, some Gamay around there, and then outside of France, a little bit, not really anywhere else in Europe. but in the New World, so a bit in the US, there's a few people in California producing Gamay. In Australia, down just in Gippsland, there's a very famous producer of Pinot Noir called Bass Phillip, and they make an amazing Gamay. I really like that. Sorenberg in Beechworth, also in Victoria in Australia.
And I'm guessing the sort of New World ones are they bigger? Are they sweeter? Are they produced the same way? Are they doing also carbonic maceration, or do they not need to because the grapes are sweeter or ripened a little longer? Or
I think the grape variety itself is very different to. But if you look at, there are similarities between Gamay and Pinot Noir for me because they are grapes that produce wines that have very high acidity, low tannin, this lovely aromatic profile. They're aged relatively well. That's what a lot of people don't know about Gamay and Beaujolais, that actually you can age the wines for at least 10 years from a good producer. And so similar to Pinot in that way, a little bit similar to Cabernet Franc as well with that profile, but where Cabernet and Pinot can sort of handle a bit of new oak, you don't really see that working so well with
because I like Cabernet Franc. I like the little end note, the bitterness that you get on the end of it.
The herbal edge to it, the spiciness.
Which you don't really get from this. This is...
No, and what I love about, if I had to sum Gamay up in a very short description to somebody that had never tasted it before, I would say light to medium bodied, high acidity, low tannin, this lovely aromatic, almost like brambly character on the nose, and this lovely earthiness at the same time, sometimes this slightly more rustic nature.
This is definitely something I usually recommend to people that say they have like histamine problems. If they're finding other red wines giving them headaches because it's so light, it's light in a lot of that kind of stuff. It's a nice red entry.
Yeah.
Like if you're not a huge red drinker, I think this is a really nice way to go into reds without feeling
100%.
It's too complicated.
And also the perfect bottle of wine to put on a table. You asked before about the pairing. So the perfect bottle of wine to put on the table where somebody's eating fish, somebody's eating meat.
Exactly.
It's a good sort of go-to choice to
like roast chicken dinner.
Yeah.
Cold cuts and charcuterie.
Lovely. Smoked salmon, on toast. Like, why not?
It's just like anything kind of goes with this.
Yeah.
Which I think it's definitely one of my go-tos. I really like it for
my all-time favourite pairing. It's a little bit of a cliche, but like casse-croûte. So like terrine, just like bread with meat and cornichons.
But that's also what goes together, right? Because that's pretty much what they're eating in that region, I would say, right?
Yeah, it's always a dream of mine to be in Beaujolais, picking grapes and stopping off for a bottle in the vineyard, eating a little bit of terrine or something, and then carrying on.
So good. I have to say, this is really delicious. I'm really enjoying it. But it's really it's funny because it's changing.
The raspberry,
blackberry,
now
crazy.
a little bit more blackfruit coming out as well.
And it's also a little
Reminds me of being a child and blackberry picking in the UK.
Totally.
And just like eating it.
Your fingers are all purple and
and your mouth, everything's sort of like smeared around.
I did that recently, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, we went to the Forest House, north of Brouilly.
Forest House Street.
Yeah. And Lucas and I spent a good 30 minutes hovering over that bramble bush, just smashing them in our faces. It's great fun. Isn't that warmed by the sun and super sweet?
Boyfriend.
Yeah. You should have him on for a...
just to watch him eat. See how much food one person can eat in 30 minutes.
We do fruit desserts and wine. Delicious. So I'm curious to see.
I'm just going to see what this one tastes like to see if we're doing this in the right order.
Curious. It's a much deeper colour. This one looks. Obviously this one's 17. Which this one? This one?
16.
Funny, there's quite a bit of a colour difference between these two. Do you
want to taste one?
Yes, I do.
I think we should do the Brouilly first, actually.
This definitely has
So this is quite funny that we chose these two bottles, that both of us bought one and the other one bought the other. So what we have here is Morgon Classique from Jean Foillard, as we said before, 17, and then the Brouilly from Alex Foillard, 2016. So we're actually tasting father and son.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So one of the sort of the old guard of Beaujolais, but in a good way. The old guard of the new movement in Beaujolais that's not so new anymore. And his son, Alex Foillard's first vintage.
Oh, wow.
And don't quote me on this, but first vintage in his early 20s. So I don't know how much experience he had working for his father, but I know that he was working at Prieurrock in Nuit Saint-Georges, which is quite a well-known, well-respected, very natural producer of Burgundy or Morgon wines.
It's definitely more savoury, this one.
I think the first thing you notice with the Brouilly is
cloudy.
It's so much more cloudy because obviously both wines I believe are unfined and unfiltered. But it's definitely more like, it's funny, like it almost smells like Pinot, this one.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying, because it has that earthy, it has an earthy like forest floor thing going on.
For me, it's like sweet beetroot. You've again got all of these raspberry fruits and different things going on, but I love the earthiness. I love that.
It smells very good. But on the nose, completely different.
And on the palate, so different. The texture's different. It's a bit softer. You can feel like that, even though it's softer, there's sort of more particles to the wine.
There's more like viscosity in your mouth.
Totally.
Also, it's hard to tell whether it's like there's a rounderness, like there's less sharpness to it.
Yeah, it's got a fruitiness. It's a bit softer, but it's nice. I haven't tasted this for about 6 months, but it's tasting really well.
Good.
Yeah,
they're both really delicious, but I think very different actually.
Yeah.
We're both like,
Yeah, this is almost more plummy.
Yeah, totally. It's
I was
when you say
plums the other day.
It makes me think of like what's the classic Austrian dish with
I know
it's like a dumpling and then you pull it apart and there's like a plum jam and they love that like plum jam in Austria. This is totally, as soon as you said plummy, that's
Svechka.
Yeah, it's totally this.
I was picking they're called Svechka in Austrian, but I think in French they're called I don't know if they're Claude Rennes or they're almost like a green gauge, but they're purple on the outside, so they're sort of green yellow inside and
is it like
purple skin.
Is it like a damson? Are they like
maybe
more
it's
sour?
damson, maybe that's it. A little bit sour, they're very sweet, and I was picking them in Brandenburg on the weekend, and this just reminds me of all the cakes that I made.
Lucas and I, someone asked him the other day, was like, what's your favourite fruit? And he went, I like stone fruit. And someone was like, it's like a whole category of fruit that's
citrus.
But him and I both love stone fruit, and plums as a kid were probably one of my favourite things to pick in the UK. Green gauges.
And good stone fruit. Like a good peach. Yeah. When you have a good peach versus a bad peach.
Oh my God.
Like an apple, a shit apple and a great apple. Okay, the distance isn't so far, but a good peach and a bad peach.
So actually,
it's quite a big distance.
Totally. And I think like that's something that, because Lucas is such a fruit junkie, that at home when we're trying fruit, we're often comparing things. So he'll do like a white peach, a yellow peach, and we'll have pieces of each one. And you really, because he's so controlled about when we eat it exactly at peak ripeness, that it's actually quite interesting to see the differences. Maybe I should get him to do it for plums. It's good practice for tasting and smelling
your fruit, totally.
But also like differentiating like the ripeness and the slight nuances between fruit.
That's pretty geeky though, isn't it?
It is, but it's so
I kind of love him for that, but it's so
he's getting me into it too. Like we had a mango the other day and I was like, can't stop thinking about this mango.
Well, your house, every time I see a pineapple, I think of your kitchen table, because there's always
but you've never been
an
there.
Ornamental one that is always there. Like I never see it cut up.
I know. And we eat a pineapple about once a week. Pineapple a week.
It's great.
Yeah, it's fun, but we had a mango the other day that was like custard. The consistency was like custard. Excuse me, like none of that fibrousness that you ever get.
In a good way? Or?
Crazy good. Like mango pudding out of a mango shell.
Did you just...
Oh yeah, it was like we were both losing our minds over it.
I can imagine.
Days later, it was like, oh my gosh, that mango. He's like, oh yeah.
Well, it's like the Alfonso mango season.
Yeah.
And I bought like something like 30 back from the UK. It's just like, oh my God, the whole house smelled mangoes. It was so nice.
Okay, sidetracked.
We did sidetrack a little bit on fruit. I'm loving this one, actually.
Yeah, I would smash both of these. These are delicious. Both of them. Why did you choose to do this one then first, that you said we should drink this one first? I'm curious about why.
The alcohol's slightly lower.
Okay.
It's 12.5%, the other one's 13. And I think Morgon, the appellation of Morgon anyway, because of the soil makeup, is more structured.
Right.
which is why a lot of the wines from Morgon age a little bit more, because there's a little bit more tannin in the wines. And I just think with this brewery and his approach to it, it's just got this lovely softness to it. It reminds me, it's very bizarre because actually the first time I tried it, it reminded me of like a light version of some of the natural Australian Pinots I drink, because there's this herbal quality that's almost like a mintiness that I see in this wine.
It's
like borderline eucalypt.
Yeah, right.
But it's just got this lovely sort of softness but freshness at the same time. I don't know how this will age or not. Was that
was the dog and he's under my chair.
He's asleep under there.
Oh, totally. This is what happens if I go to therapy. He sits under the chair.
So you do you, I do me.
Yeah. Keeping my eye on you. But I also think I would eat probably different things with each of these. Even though they're both Gamay. I don't know, I'm struggling a little bit. I do think that like a little mustard and toast and whatever, but I think I would keep it a little simpler. I mean, there's not so much acidity in this one. I don't think it would go up against the Cornichon in the same way that the other one maybe would. If that makes any sense.
I love that sentence.
I don't know how that would go against the Cornichon. No, but you know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like the acidity is not that high with this one. If you like, because some Cornichons are like crazy acidic. They kill everything. Yeah, I mean, I think some of that awesome Austrian mustard that's like this little slightly sweeter mustard.
Yeah. I think both would work well with the options. This is a bit softer and easier. I think I would sway more to having food and maybe more proteiny, meaty things with the Morgon.
Okay.
That would be my preference.
Thank you.
But I think this is quite an impressive wine considering young winemaker, first vintage. All of the traits of Gamay, this lovely freshness that's there from the wines from Beaujolais, because remember we've got all this granitic soils that are always having lovely freshness.
I think you just don't need any food with this one. It kind of is a bit of a snack.
It kind of is a bit of a snack.
It is a bit of a snack, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, occasions to when you drink it. So we're talking about what would we have when we're sitting at home, but like, why could you imagine yourself drinking this?
This is a great picnic. These are great picnic wines, I think. Because I think like they can be
providing
autumn picnic.
Autumn picnic.
Yes.
Because then the bottle's not too
exactly. I was going to say, I think autumn picnic. This is it. Go to Tiergarten, get a nice blanket, get some snacks,
snuggle with your
lover.
Yeah.
Total autumn picnic. I don't even think you would necessarily like just some crackers and cheese. You'd be like happy as a clam.
Yeah.
Chili beach.
Yeah,
it would be really nice.
Curry versus pairing.
Yeah. Curry versus pairing. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh. I was like,
she's hesitating. When does that
happen? I was more like, is there some left in the glass?
I'm a professional then.
don't mind.
So now let's try about this again. So Morgon Classic. So Foillard producing, I think only 4 cuvées actually. So I know that he produces the Fleury, which is another area in Beaujolais very famous for having this more sort of feminine floral edge to the wines, quite pretty, on the fresher side or brighter side.
Right, I always find the acidity is quite high in Fleury.
And more sort of fruit and floral.
Right.
And not everybody feels okay with that, but feminine, what do you associate as feminine? I feel like
I know that's actually pretty interesting now, because actually that's
it's redundant now almost.
Right.
What is feminine? What is femininity to you? I don't know.
Right.
Yin energy.
Energy. Yes, I like that. Yeah.
Lunar energy.
It's alive and floral. And
it's really difficult. So
that aside,
pretty floral.
Yeah.
And then now we're at Morgon. So he's producing the Fleury. He's producing this Morgon Classic, which is kind of the entry level, if you like. It's about half the price of his top one, which is called Côte de Pie, which I think worldwide probably one of the most famous wines, one from Beaujolais, 2 from Gamay in the world. And it's just iconic, the top wine from this little single vineyard that's on a hill. A couple of producers have vines on the Côte de Pie. It's sort of on a slight hill in Morgon, with a couple of trees on it. But it's so Côte de Pie, top wine, this one, and then he makes another Morgon, which is sort of a step up from Côte de Pie. So I think the name and the brand of Jean Voyard's kind of very well established. He's very well respected. So sort of, I think we touched a little bit on before, we talked a bit about the natural wine movement and how that came from Beaujolais. And whilst I think it's just worth just touching on it because of, whilst it's kind of old news, like so many people know the story now, actually, if you're not in the wine trade, you don't know the story.
Right.
A lot of the natural wine movement, when it was all sort of kicking off, really starting sort of post-World War II all the way up to the 80s, this sort of slow movement happening with different producers in Beaujolais and in the Loire, kicking off producing wines without using chemicals in the vineyards, not filtering, not fining. Both of these wines are unfined, unfiltered, from at least organic fruit. No heavy use of oak, very low use of SO2, if not any at all, and really trying to express the varietal where it's coming from. This really started in this region, and everyone talks about Jules Chauvet as sort of being the starter of that, and then also talking about the gang of four, these four iconic producers from Beaujolais. Foillard was one of them. Okay. And it's quite interesting because the torch is being passed on. Like I always think it's the same, for me it's the same, like it's the same
It's
branch.
a continuation sort of thing.
It's a continuation. Yeah. And now
that's really lovely.
Yeah, and since he sort of came on board, we kind of almost needed like another producer in between because there are so many great producers, David Chapelle, Godard, like there's so many great, interesting, dynamic producers in Beaujolais today that have been doing it for quite some time, maybe not as long as Jean, but would sort of fit between these two wines.
Right.
So it's a very...
I think that Gamay isn't talked about enough, actually.
Yeah.
Like, because I kind of feel like it's that sort of wine that maybe the snobbier of wine drinkers don't always...
One wine rep that I used to buy wine from said to me, Beaujolais is the last fine wine region to be discovered in France.
Well, that's interesting.
And actually, when you think about that, it's quite true because actually we went, Burgundy, Bordeaux or Morgon, Bordeaux, like they've been well received for a long time. It's like the little sister
or something, or like the little brother.
Well, you have to think like sort of at the time of like the Green Revolution was happening, what was happening at Beaujolais. I mean, there were winemakers committing suicide because like it was such a difficult time to produce wine. The value of the grapes, the value of the wine, the styles of the wine. Like, I mean, it was like all the shitty Beaujolais that we buy now in a shop. Like, it was just, that was the whole region.
Yeah.
With an amazing terroir because granitic soil. Right. Everybody knows like granite's like an amazing soil to work with. Bush vines, like, and the Gamay grape variety, like it's
just being.
It's a recipe made in heaven. Yeah, like it's perfect. So. It's a very interesting region for me because it's that bridge between Burgundy and the Northern Rhone because you're seeing styles that are more similar to Burgundy, but with the terroir, like the soil, it's like
more southern.
Well, the granite. But I think
I know the dog keeps making.
I know it sounds like you keep farting, but I know it's him. And he's like totally oblivious. He's actually slept like this.
He's such a composer.
Yeah.
Sweet little angel.
I think, I mean, it's a very interesting region, but I think it hasn't always been an easy region to produce wine in. And actually the movement, thanks to people, like Jean, like different other growers that were also moving, hopped on the same train, moving on the same path. Thanks to those people to really invest their time and actually create a really high-end product from it. It sort of revived and revitalised this region and put it back on the map for a lot of people to make it more relevant. So now to the point, if you speak to anybody in the wine trade, it's so uncool to say that you don't like Gamay. If you were like, I hate Gamay,
you'd be like, what is wrong with you?
I hate Gamay is as uncool as saying I love Sauvignon Blanc. Or
it's the opposite. I know you're going to do this.
Or
that I love Gewürztraminer.
Or loving Gewürztraminer. They kind of all go in the same category. If you were like, I love Gewürztraminer, I hate Gamay, it would be like, who is that girl?
Fighting words.
Yeah. Go back to being a wallflower, please. We don't want to hear any of that.
I do have to say, I guess it is when you taste it, a kind of grape that like if you like red wines, even if you don't love red wines, it's hard not to love this grape. It has sort of a drinkability. It's easy to share because everyone will like it a little bit. It's
acidity, like this saltiness, almost like this freshness. This one in particular,
it's really. I mean, they're both delicious, actually.
Maybe there's a pleasure element to this wine that I really enjoy because it's got this more supple.
But it's the texture of it too, I think, that adds to it.
But I like the tension and the bite in this wine.
Me too. This is, I would smash this bottle by myself.
Yeah, and I think that's where we're also seeing the different terroirs and we're seeing like the structure from Morgon and I think it'd be amazing to produce wine in Morgon.
So this is a perfect, actually, for the Morgon. Morgon.
Cornichon.
Oh my God. We're gonna maybe have to...
Cornichon. Cornichon.
If anyone wants to make a Cornichon / Morgon wrap for us,
or a haiku, we're open to it. It's quite good.
Yeah.
We've already got 2 lines done for you. Just need one more.
Just add it. Yeah. Send it to us. We want to see the videos. Maybe we'll splice it into the end of one of these YouTube videos.
Train of Morgon with a Cornichon. Hop on.
All right, Eminem. So, you can find us. We want to hear all of your favorite Gamays. Where have you drank them? What did you have with them?
Beaujolais, also really interesting to hear what you think of Gamay and where have you had it? What do you think people that, have you heard of it? What have you heard of? What do you think?
We want to hear it all. You can find us at juice.show online where you can also buy a tote bag. You can find us on Instagram
at juice.podcast.
Yeah,
thank you. And also on Twitter at juice_podcast. So we're available on all channels. Thank you for tuning in. Obviously, if you're tuning in for the first time, thank you for tuning in. But please subscribe. We would love you to stay with us along the journey.
Absolutely. You can find us everywhere where you listen to your podcasts. Yeah. So cheers until next time.